this video we're going to look at the inverse function, but we're going to do it through looking at the graph and graphing the inverse. So the learning goal for this video is to create a graphical representation of the inverse of a function. Okay, we're given this function h of x equals minus 4x plus 6, which is a line, and we're only dealing with a little bit of it, so in between minus 2 and 3. So we've got a sketch of this here quickly. Now if we wanted to, what we could do is draw this line. So obviously the y-intercept is 6. We could plot our 6 here. The slope is minus 4, so we would go down 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 over 1. Draw this as a line, and we know that it is only between minus 2 and 3. So that's why the line stops here. Now, a couple important points on this line. If we look at this point here, it is minus 2 and 14. We have this point here of 0 and 6. And we have this point over here of 3 and minus 6. When we want to sketch, so we sketched our graph of h of x. Now it's going to ask us next, in order to graph the inverse of h of x, what we want to do is do the same thing that we did when we were trying to find the equation, and that was interchange the x and y values. However, this time we're going to interchange them in these points. So it's going to be 14 comma minus 2, 6 comma 0, minus 6 comma 3, and regraph those points, and that will be our inverse function. So this is it over here. If we look at these new points, it is the point 6 comma 0 there. It is the point 14 comma minus 2, and it is the point minus 6 and up 3. So all we need to do is take our graph that is given, flip the x and y values, and replot those points. For stating the domain and range, an interesting thing happens here. Now the domain was given, so this was the domain over here, and this was the range over here. And we could see the range easy. The range, we're going up to 14 and down to minus 6. So that's where we've got the set of y such that minus 6 is less than y, or sorry, minus 6, sorry, yeah, y is greater than minus 6 and y is less than 14. And our domain, we're looking here, and this was given to us up here. We've got the set of x such that x is greater than minus 2 and x is less than 3. So again, if you're not too good at domain, you may want to go back and watch the domain and range video, which explains about the shadows and seeing where these are. But the interesting thing that happens when we graph the inverse, because we're switching the x and y values, is the range now becomes the domain, and the domain becomes the range. So again, when we're graphing these, we're going to switch the x and y values and replot the points, and the domain becomes the range, and the range becomes the old range becomes the domain. The next question it's asking, if we look at these two things, so here is my h of x, here is my h inverse of x, are these both functions? Now if I look at these graphs and do my vertical line test, this is a line, passes the vertical line test everywhere. This one's a line, passes the vertical line test everywhere. Yes, these are both functions. Is this always the case? So if it asks you to explain, or if someone asks you to explain, you would say that both of these pass the vertical line test. But this may not be always the case, and we're going to look at that in the next video.